In Rogue One, we all by now have witnessed the viral scene at the end of the well, you know what? Maybe there's that one person that hasn't seen it yet. So if you haven't seen Rogue One, turn away now and come back after. Alright. In Rogue One, we have the most epic scene of Darth Vader to date, which I hope is just a taster for what Disney is going to bring for future scenes. That said, in the scene we see him aboard the shuttle leading towards the Tantive. The novelization explains how Vader grabs his best troops, which we can assume are his 501st. While all of them are going one way down the hall, something in the Force pulls him towards the other hall, where he ventures off alone, leading to the scenes that blew up YouTube. While I've been writing the fanfiction for what if he did get the Death Star plans, I was reading the scene in particular in the novelization. And to my surprise, Vader actually does try to force pull the Death Star plans to his grasp. However, he's ultimately too late as it just gets out of his reach. The novel reads, the voice of a stormtrooper spoke to him through his comlink.
Our data tape was recorded on the bridge just before we boarded. No sign of it here.
Vader did not answer, but he bolstered his pace. He wound through the cruiser, leaving corpses behind him. He found his prey at last in a corridor thick with rebels, backed against a security door. As particle bolts shot towards him, he watched a data tape pass between desperate soldiers. He knocked the bolts aside with his blade, tore a blaster from one foe with a might that defied nature and gravity, and marched on. He delivered killing stroke after killing stroke, awakened and relentless. The security door opened a mere crack and rebel hands shoved the tape through. Vader reached through life and matter and air, and by the will alone, he pulled. He fueled his will with rage and fear and need. It was enough to tear the rebels from the door and drop him at Vader's feet, but it was not enough to claim the tape. He grasped the rebel sprawled before him by the throat, lifted him and stared at him through bloody lenses.
Where,
Vader demanded,
are they taking it?
The reply was a strangled whisper.
Away from here.
The rebel said.
Away from you.
Vader clenched his gloved hand until the man's neck snapped. Then he tossed the body aside. He activated his comlink and barked to his stormtroopers.
Find their escape vessel.
It's bittersweet how the novels are always more dark, explanatory, and violent than the films. I wish we could have seen Vader snapping the rebel's neck and shown him reach for the tape, however, ultimately fail in his ability to retrieve it. If Vader did get the plans, which is a fanfic I've been stuck on writing for months now, maybe you can help me with it, I believe he would have brought them to the Emperor, who would have awarded him somehow. As in Legends, he was punished by having his hand cut off by Sidious. Now, what's confusing about this is in A New Hope. Darth Vader on the Tantive 4 says, several rebel transmissions were beamed aboard this ship from rebel spies. Alright, but in Rogue One, which we just covered, we see that the plans were not beamed anywhere. We know he failed to retrieve them, and he knows that they were there. Someone asked Pablo Hidalgo about this question, in which he explained. The novel also has him view the Tantive as an escape vessel of the cruiser, cuts on either side of semantics. Which means that we can believe that Vader assumed the plans were beamed to rebel hands without him having physically seen them, or you can ignore the novel and believe Episode 4. Personally, I like this answer, and that makes the continuity a little more believable and fun when you watch Rogue One. Does it help with the continuity, or does it just make it kind of confusing? We should remember that Episode 4 and Rogue One were made with a 40-year gap. That's quite a long time. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, throw me a like. Do it! And I'll see you all in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember,
the Force will be with you. Always.
Now, fulfill your destiny.